Hey guys, from Box to Table Painting here with a Warriors of Chaos paint scheme. It will be Nurgle, no blood for the blood gods here. That is not how we roll. As you can see, they're side by side, the finished products. So you can kind of see if you want to continue watching. As you go, we open the box, and I already have all the models out. You'll need some plastic glue thin, a good pair of clippers, a good hobby knife, as well as the 6 basic parts of the model, which are the base, torso, back, shield, weapon, and head, I believe. It's the order I put them out there. Once you have all the pieces, you're going to want to flash them. That's the leftover molding from when they're being produced. You don't have to if you are new, but they really do look better in the end. Be careful with the hobby knife though. Use light pressure to get the pieces of plastic off. Most of it will come off if you just lightly run over it, as I'm doing there. And never go into your finger with the sharp part. Always use the flat part to hit the back of your thumb or something, and just kind of go over the edges. With the plastic thin glue, it increases the bonding. At least in the GW glue, it kind of burns it together. So that's why I prefer thin glue over most others. So when you push it together, give it a good strong squeeze. That helps it bond better. And also make sure there's not many gaps in the model when it's finished. So because of this glue, it's pretty quick. We can go straight into the next part of the process, which is the shield. The difference between a Nurgle and a Khorne warrior is the shield for the most part. With the shield on a Nurgle warrior, you have chaos armor, 4+ armor save, and then you have the shield, which gives you a 3+ armor save, plus the -1 to hit. Because your Nurgle makes it a pretty badass character. Whereas the Khorne warriors, you want the dual wield attacks. And Khorne, so you have Frenzy, and then at that point you have 4 attacks per model, which is pretty sweet. Once you put the arm in, you can kind of play around with it to position it correctly. Because these will be rank and file units, you don't want them touching each other and pushing each other out of formation, so make sure you kind of put it in the right spot. Next is just put some glue on the feet. Don't forget to flash here, it's very important because sometimes it can be annoying when you glue it on the base. Gravity pretty much does the work here. As you can see, it kind of just sits right in place. And then put a little glue in the head spot, and this is probably the hardest part as far as gluing concerned, mainly because I have big fingers. And becomes a little hard to put it in there and position it correctly so the head doesn't looking down or looking up, or it's looking straight forward in a nice position. Once it's glued, you obviously will spray it black and then get right into the painting once it's dry. So here I'm painting a gray color. You can either use I use Mechanicus standard gray. You can use a black and white and mix it into a gray if you want, but just get the back and the sides of the cloak, and on the front side you're going to want to get the inside of the cloak, so from its front view you can see gray as well. That's a finished view. Once you're done with gray, you're going to move on to a silver. I use Lead Belcher is the new silver I use. Don't forget to water down all your paints. That is a necessary step, mainly because if you use thick paints, it clogs it up. Make sure to get all the sides. You can kind of be a little bit dirty with the silver, because for tabletop quality, you can just always go back over it and fix it up. Painting is sometimes very forgiving in that sense, where you can go over it and paint it. Make sure to get all the armor pieces, the sword, the shield, the inside of the chainmail, his helm, the back of the head, and both sides of his arms, that side right there. once you're done with that, you're going to paint over anything you're going to do in white or gold. You're going to paint over it in Mornfang brown first. This allows for the gold and the white to come out much crisper and nicer. So here we are going over the Warriors of Chaos symbol. This does require a steady hand, but as I said earlier, if you mess up, you just go back over it in silver. You can't really get nervous to paint. Another issue is a lot of brushes are pretty hard to keep in a good condition, so sometimes you get splits and that becomes hard to paint details. So try to keep 1 or 2 brushes simply for details and then 1 for base painting, so that way you always have a really crisp brush when it comes to painting these details like this. So we're just continuing to get all the brown here. On this figure there was a skull, the horns, the boots, any type of gold reflection, the belt. Once you got it done, that's how it should look. Everything is Mornfang brown. And then you're going to move into the Ushapti bone. You can just use a white and a brown mixed together, but I really like the bone color. Obviously watered down. This part you want to have a little bit more water to paint ratio, simply because it's hard for it to go into all the cracks and crevices. And make sure to paint over anything that needs to be white. You can at this point also go over the skulls that you just painted in brown, and I think there's bear claws and your horns, so you can go back over it in bone now. And it should come out a lot clearer with that brown. You could also do a dry brush here if you wanted to do a different color than white, but I like to use the wash later on. I'll show you that. So that's the done product. Here we go. We're going back over that brown and the gold. Let me see the gold. It is Balthazar gold. This is the first gold color you're going to use, so it's going to be darker to start off with, and then we're going to highlight it later on. And once again, obviously you're going to hit some spots you don't want to hit on the silver shield, and you just got to go back over it. I actually do all of my retouches right after this step, the gold step. So I just actually did that right then. I went back and retouched everything that I hit. On accident, of course. And then we get ready to do my favorite step, which is the Nurgle oil wash. So you're going to be generous on this because you will go back over everything and highlight it. So really just be really generous, especially on the cloak. You want to see a lot of black seeping in, not on top obviously. You want to see it kind of going in between the feathers. And make sure to get everything. It's going to look really dark, but as I said, that's what lightens up the color once we start, is having that dark look. So get everything, and that's kind of like a finished product right there. And it's going to take a lot longer to dry than regular paint, so just let it sit. There's another better look at it. And it will pull at the bottom of the shield, so kind of fix that up if you see it later. Alright, so now we're doing the highlight process. With this, you're going to use a dry brush, and you're going to use some Upshopti bone again, and just do a light dry brush over it. You're also going to do another dry brush of the standard gray, very light over the cape. This is where we get into the, you can barely see the gold on there. Anyways, but actually we're going to do silver first, my mistake. We're going to do Ironbreaker silver, and you're going to try to get the majority of the shield, but not all of it. So you see I'm going into like the center pieces, and then I'm pulling back out, and not getting the entire shield when I go into those pie pieces. I'm just getting the middle piece of the pie piece, if that makes sense. Leaving a little bit of dark in there is essentially what you're trying to do. And this will make it pop out a lot better in the end. Make sure to get pretty much the entire shield. You're also going to do this, so there's the inside. You're also going to do this all over the model. The thing with highlighting is you want to get the outside, but not the deeper parts. So you want to hit the highest point of the model that you're doing. So here we're doing the look at this Genas gold. It's a really light gold. I like it a lot. And you're just gonna go back and hit every spot. You do have to be more careful on this step, because now that you've done all the other steps in the washing steps, it's a little less forgiving. So do be more careful when doing these steps now that you have done the wash already, because going back over it, it's going to look odd when you put an original color back down. So trying to be as careful as I can there, and really highlight the chaos symbol there with this Guinness gold. I also did the boots, and I don't know if I show you here, but I did the boots in a Deathclaw brown, and you can kind of see it in the corner of the base, the light brown with the dark middle of the shoe. It just makes it looks better, and it really does pop the boot out. You can see it there a lot better, and there's everything kind of highlighted. So now that everything's kind of highlighted, it's good tabletop quality, we will go into some more of the Nurgle look of it. We just have a standard warrior. So here's where you can go either Nurgle or Khorne, to be honest. You get the glaze color, Waywatcher green, or you can get the Khorne glaze, which I'm not sure which it is. And you just glaze all the silver parts with it. It'll give it a green tint. You want it to be hard to see. If it's too green, it's going to look odd, and if it's less green, it will look a little bit better. Here is where we get into the Nurgle's Rot, which is my favorite step because it really pops the model out. You just put it on the shield, really, and maybe the weapon and the side silver armor. You could use Blood for the Blood God technical paint if you wanted to do Khorne, obviously. So that really the only difference between a Khorne and Nurgle is what they're using and what the finished product, the last two highlights on it. So as you see, I'm just kind of, you really want to glob both of those technicals on. And then here's the finished product. So I hope you enjoy, and if you do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Thanks.